Now, on the XAUUSD, we have a similar scenario which is peculiar with all of the US dollar pairs since the beginning of the week. Price action has been in the last 24 hours range bound, as you can see here. And this is giving us an insight into the level of indecision in this particular market. Remember, we have our key level at the 1,935 level, and we have the lowest point where price action has gotten to for this week at the 1,922. And one thing we have observed here since the beginning of the week is the fact that the support line appears to be a very strong one. As you can see, every attempt by the sellers to break through the structure has been met with strong resistance from the buyers. Look at what happened throughout yesterday. We saw that sellers tried as much as possible to break through that structure, but failed at every point in time as we saw bullish traction spring out from that zone. The same thing is going on in the last couple of hours now. Price is back into that zone, and we want to see how price action will be reacting to that level. Now, one thing one of my opinion about this current market structure is that the chances of a bearish momentum is looking very, very possible at this point. And why have I said this? Well, if you look at the highest point price action has been for this week, this is the highest point. That's around the $1,932.50 level, just right around here. And during the early hours of today, we saw how price has been finding it difficult to find a new high. So you can see this high here is yet to be broken. So we have a lower high, and from a technical standpoint, whenever we begin to see lower highs in a particular market structure, it is a clear sign that sellers are gradually gaining momentum. And as a result of this, I am considering that sellers might likely take over this market. Then in addition to that observation is this trend line we identified during our live session yesterday. If you remember vividly, we noticed this higher low since last week Friday, and which extended into the first day of this week here. So what we did yesterday was to acknowledge this higher lows by connecting it and using this trend line as a yardstick to guide our trading activity for the week. And you know how we use our trend lines in this community. As long as price action remains above the trend line, we want to feel comfortable in a buy position. But unfortunately for buyers yesterday, we saw how price action broke down this trend line a couple of hours into the New York session, and in fact followed technical expectations in that regard. As you can see, breakdown. We saw price action come back to retest the structure, and since yesterday, price action remained below both the trend line and the $1,928.50 level. So at this point, based on these two features in this market structure, I'm of the opinion that price action is likely going to be going to the downside. So in that regard, we want to be having an opportunity to sell right below the 1,922. As a breakdown of this zone here for the first time this week will be a signal that finally sellers have found the momentum to break through that structure to incite another wave of bearish momentum to the downside. And if price action continues in such a way that it does break down the 1,910 level, retest it on our lower time frame, we definitely want to be adding more position to our existing trade. So this is how we are going to be selling the XAUUSD for today. So you want to be maxing this level out on your chart, and let's see how price action will play out from this area. Now, it is our culture in this community that we always try to keep our options as dynamic as possible. We are working in an environment which is very, very fluid, and for us to be profitable in the financial market, we also want to be as open as possible. So in as much as we are looking out for selling opportunities in this particular market, we cannot ignore the potentials of buyers too as well. And if you even consider what has been going on since Friday, remember we have been seeing some higher lows which gave us this bullish trend line, where the breakdown of this trend line that happened yesterday could actually turn out to be a false breakdown. And if this happens, we might likely see a situation where price will climb to the upside. So while we hold on to a bearish bias here, what is it that could happen on this chart that will make us change our idea from bearish to bullish? Well, personally for me, I would rather want to see price action take out my key level at the 1935 area for us to start considering buying. And if you look at what has been going on around that 1935 since last week's trading session, you will see how that level has been a major determinant of selling opportunities in this market. Look at what happened here on Tuesday. We saw what happened here on Wednesday. We saw selling pressure around that area. We also saw what happened here. Okay, this was Wednesday too as well. And last week, Friday, we saw what happened with a sharp rejection. And since that moment, price is yet to break out of that area, which is the reason why we are holding on to a bearish bias. But if a breakout of the 1935 level happens, then price action would have taken out all the sell positions around that area to give us a confirmation that buyers have come to stay. But one thing for sure we are going to be looking out for is for confirmations to give us the confidence to join this move, which will obviously reflect on the chart as a retest of structure to give us an opportunity to join the bullish momentum to the upside. So without this, we are not going to be buying. For me personally, without this, I'm not going to be considering buying at this point, unless structures give me something new below that level to consider buying, and that could be something like higher highs and higher lows from the structure. I begin to see a breakout of the 1928, then higher lows, higher highs, then I could now start considering buying before even the breakout of the 1935 level happens. So let's keep this in mind. Let's mark these levels out on our chart. You can as well screenshot my screen so that you can use it as a reference point when you're about to make your independent decision on this account, on your account. So these are my views here on the XAUUSD for today. So I hope that I made myself very clear. If you have any questions whatsoever, or you need me to make clarification to an aspect in my illustration so far, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I am here and willing to be of help